Ndị be anyị kenekwanụ m unu. Asị m ka nke onye chiri ya zelu. Alright, ihe a bụ Eastern News 24 ka anyị si wetara ya bụ ozi n'ụbọchị nke taa. N'ilu akwụkwọ gbasịta maka ya bụ ife na-ada na-akpọtụ n'obodo nọ n'ime ya and nwere ụba na-azụ n'ala Igbo. Ozi a ji maka ya wee bịa n'ụbọchị nke taa bụ according to the Biafran activist wetara ya as he quote, breaking news, tension everywhere, Asorok in panic as top 5 US American lawyers sent a shocking letter to Judge James Omotosho on injustice against Nnamdi Kanu's trial. Hear the news in details. Alright, this update is according to the Biafran activist Woteyabosi Nirakupo Nobosi Uruchinketa. I got upon Kungaya Bife, Dikuni Yegesia Kabalo, Kelia Tanifenda Nine Okugase. Over to you, sir.
You see, what is happening right now around Nnamdi Kanu's case has taken a very surprising turn. And it's shaking the legal and political space in Nigeria again. People are now talking about one big thing that happened, the letter that came all the way from America to the judge handling Kanu's trial. And my people, that letter has caused serious talk everywhere because it's not a small matter at all. So let's go straight into the gist. The story started when Nnamdi Kanu's case came up again in Abuja. Remember, this case has been going on for long. Every time it comes up, there's always one drama or another. This time it was supposed to be the moment for him to open his defense. But suddenly things turned in a way nobody expected. Kanu stood up in court and told the judge he couldn't continue because he didn't have access to his documents, his case files, and his witnesses. He said he had been cut off from what he needed to defend himself. At that point, the judge, Justice Omotosho, was calm but firm. He said, okay, we will give you a short adjournment so you can settle things and come back prepared. And everybody thought that was all, but no. What happened next made the whole story explode. Before the next court date, an American lawyer, someone representing Kanu internationally, wrote directly to the judge. In that letter, the lawyer was questioning the very foundation of the trial. He was basically saying, this court does not even have the right to continue this case because of how Kanu was brought back into Nigeria. Now pause there for a moment. If you're still watching, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe so that you can always get updates like this when we drop new gist. Because honestly, this one is deep. Back to it. This letter from the American lawyer didn't just stay private. It leaked and started spreading across social media and news platforms. The lawyer argued that the Nigerian court should not even be hearing this case because, according to him, the process that brought Kanu back to Nigeria was not legal. That's a big claim because if a court agrees that it has no power, what lawyers call no jurisdiction, that means the whole case can be thrown out. Now imagine that. After all the years, all the hearings, all the media attention, a single letter could raise a question that might end everything. That's why people said the judiciary was shocked. Some legal experts started analyzing the letter and others started defending the court. But the main thing that caught everyone's attention was that the letter didn't come from within Nigeria. It came from someone abroad, someone who's not even practicing in Nigerian courts. That made the whole thing more dramatic. Please guys, before I continue, if you're following this gist and enjoying the way we're breaking it down, just like this video right now, it helps us a lot and it helps you stay updated too. Make sure you also subscribe if you haven't, so that every time something happens in this case or any other national story, you'll be the first to hear it. All right, now let's move on. After that letter came in, the court session resumed. Kanu appeared again, and this time he said something that left everybody in court surprised. He told the judge that he was not ready to open his defense and that he might not even bring witnesses anymore. People started whispering in court because nobody saw that coming. The judge then asked him to put it in writing if that's really his decision. Because in law, if you say you're not defending yourself, it could have serious effects later. The judge was patient, but he also made it clear that this case cannot drag forever. He told the defense that there are time limits for every trial, and the court cannot keep waiting without progress. He said the defense time would not be extended again except for genuine reasons. That statement showed the judge wanted to be fair, but also firm. Meanwhile, outside the courtroom, supporters of Kanu started reacting immediately. Some said it was unfair that he didn't have access to his documents and legal team. Others said the government should take responsibility and make sure the man gets fair hearing. There were also political voices, especially from the southeast, calling for dialogue instead of continuous trial. Some groups said, if this case continues like this, it will only make people more angry. My people, what made the story even more interesting was that the American lawyer's letter brought in another angle: international law. He said the way Kanu was taken from another country into Nigeria violated some global legal rules, and because of that, Nigeria's court should not be the one trying him. Whether that's true or not is now a question for the judge to decide. And believe me, every move in this case is being watched both inside and outside Nigeria. Now, while all this was happening, many Nigerians online started debating, should the court continue the trial or stop it completely? Some said, let justice take its full course. Others said, if the foundation is not right, there is no need to continue. And that's why this case has become not just a legal matter, but something bigger. It's about the image of the judiciary and how Nigeria handles big cases with international attention. Before we go further, please, if you're still with me, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Let's keep growing this channel together, because the more you engage, the more stories like this I'll bring your way, fresh and real time. Now, let's talk about how this letter affected the judge himself. When reports said Justice Omotosho received that letter, there were strong reactions inside the legal community. Some people said it was wrong for a foreign lawyer to write directly to a sitting judge about a case still in court. They said it could be seen as interference. Others argued that the lawyer had a right to speak up if he believed international law was being violated. So even among legal experts, opinions were divided. And then, of course, Nigerians love gist. So social media picked it up. Hashtags started trending. People began saying the judge had been queried by America, which is not exactly what happened, but that's how stories spread online. Some made memes. Others wrote long threads trying to explain the legal meaning of no jurisdiction. At this point, everybody wanted to know one thing: will this letter make the judge dismiss the case or not? Because if the judge agrees with the American lawyer's argument, it could mean Kanu's case ends right there. But if the judge disagrees, the trial continues and the defense can only appeal later. Now, you see why I said this story is sweet and deep at the same time. It's not just about one man in court. It's about law, politics, and even diplomacy. It's about how our legal system handles pressure. And this is why people around the world are also watching. Please, if you're still enjoying the gist, kindly like this video now and subscribe. Let's get this gist trending, because it's one of the most talked about stories in Nigeria this week. Now, in every legal matter like this, when a foreign lawyer questions the court's authority, it puts the judge under a kind of spotlight. Not pressure per se, but attention. Every word, every reaction, every next step starts to matter. And Justice Omotosho, the man handling this case, has been known to be calm, patient, but firm. He has warned several times that this trial cannot drag forever, but at the same time, he wants to be sure that the process is fair. So now, here's where the story deepens. After the adjournment, the court reconvened. The air in the courtroom that day was tense. Journalists were waiting outside, security was tight, and everyone was hoping to hear something major. Then the case was called, and Kanu stood in the dock. His voice was calm but serious. He repeated his concern about not having access to his materials. But again, he didn't open his defense. That moment made headlines. Some papers even wrote that he was abandoning his defense, while others said he was only demanding proper access. Please, before we go further, if you're watching this gist right now, take 1 second to like this video. Yes, just click the like button. It helps more people see this story. And if you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe now, because the updates on this case are coming fast and I'll be breaking them down for you step by step, always in a way you can understand. Now let's move on. After that court sitting, discussions started across the country. People were asking, why is this case taking so long? What exactly is the issue now? Others started questioning whether the court will really dismiss the case or continue. But there's something important you need to understand here. When a case like this involves arguments about how a person was brought into the country, it becomes very complex legally. That's why the American lawyer's letter was such a big deal. In simple English, what that lawyer was saying is that since Kanu was not formally extradited, but was instead taken through what he called irregular process, the Nigerian court should not have the power to try him. That is a legal argument that touches both international and domestic law. Some people agreed with it, others didn't. But it's now officially part of the discussion before the court. And let me say this is not just about Kanu alone. The decision the judge makes here could affect how Nigeria handles similar international cases in the future. If the judge decides that the process was wrong and therefore cancels the trial, it will set a precedent that any person brought into Nigeria improperly could challenge the trial. But if the judge decides the trial can't continue, then it means the court recognizes its power to hear even cases that began with controversial arrests. That's why this case is being watched so closely. My people, if you're following me so far, don't forget to like this video again. I know you've heard me say it before, but it really helps. And please subscribe too. I want you to be part of this growing family that loves real-time Nigerian gist told in a clear, calm way. Now let's talk about the public reaction. In the Southeast especially, a lot of voices have been rising again, calling for peace, dialogue, and even political intervention. Some leaders said that if this case is not handled with care, it could create more tension in the region. Others believe justice must take its course no matter what. But what makes this case different now is that international attention has come back strongly because of that American letter. Then there's another point. Inside the legal community, some lawyers criticized the American counsel's move. They said it's improper to write directly to a sitting Nigerian judge about a pending matter. They argued that if he wanted to make a point, he should have done so through KANU'S local legal team. On the other hand, supporters of the lawyer said he did nothing wrong. They said he was only exercising his right to speak up and bring global awareness to the case. That's why the story has so many layers: law, politics, diplomacy, even social media reactions. You can see videos, tweets, and posts every day debating what this letter means. And trust Nigerians, once they pick interest in a story, they'll turn it into full conversation online. Please, if you haven't liked this video yet, now is a good time to do it. And subscribe too so you don't miss what happens next, because I'll keep updating you in simple English, no confusion. Now back to what happened after the court session. The judge didn't make a final ruling that day. He simply directed that all arguments about the case and about that American lawyer's claim should be properly filed. He asked for written briefs so that he can study everything carefully before making any decision. That shows the judge wants to be thorough, not rushed, not emotional, but professional. Meanwhile, now in a way, Kanu's supporters are still pushing for his release. They said he has been in detention for too long and that the government should find a political solution. The government side, on the other hand, says the case is in court and that the law must take its course. So for now, everything depends on what the court finally decides. Now let's imagine the possibilities here. If the judge agrees that the court has no power to continue, it could mean the charges against Kanu will be dropped, at least for now. That would be one of the biggest legal headlines in years. But if the judge says the court has full jurisdiction, then the trial will move forward, and Kanu may have to open his defense, call witnesses, or file his closing arguments. Either way, we are looking at a decision that will make history. And while we wait for that, one thing is clear. This case is no longer just about one man. It has become a symbol of how Nigeria handles justice, rule of law, and international cooperation. It's about whether our legal system can stand strong even when the world is watching closely. So, my people, as we continue to follow this story, I want you to drop your opinion in the comments section below. Do you think the judge should stop the trial because of how Kanu was brought back? Or do you think the case should continue till the very end so that justice can be done either way? Let me know what you think.
Ebuma na-ege ntị, edalụli na enukwu si wee na-anụ olu m ụbọchị nke taa na Eastern News 24 bụ ebe anyị si were wetara ya bụ nnukwu ozi gbasịta maka ya bụ ife na-emenụ. Ka efi were ikwu gbasịta maka ya bụ ife ndị anyị wetara n'ụbọchị nke taa n'iru akwụkwọ.